So going down the list and playing all the old Need for Speed games, or at least many of them, I have not gotten to the PS2 side of it, but I have been playing through the PS3 side of it, and there was one Need for Speed game I had to play that is rated the worst Need for Speed game ever. That is going to be Need for Speed Undercover. This is the first time I probably played this game in over 15 years, and I want to give you guys my honest thoughts playing this game all the way later on the PS3 again. I gotta admit, I can kind of see why this game had so much hate behind it. Now, before I do say anything about the negatives of this game, the first thing I gotta admit though is I do think Need for Speed Undercover has a few positives about it. What is that, might you ask? Well, I gotta admit guys, I think the vehicle list, or you could say the car list on this game, is honestly fairly decent. I was pretty impressed with some of the vehicles we have in there, like the lovely Toyota Supra. There is also going to be some interesting cars in the game, like the Bugatti and stuff like that, which we all do know a lot of racing games tend to have the Bugatti, but either way, there's also going to be the Lexus ISF and all that, so there is going to be some pretty dope vehicles. And I also have to admit, on the side of positive things about Undercover, can we all admit that the overall customization of this game was honestly pretty dope, man. I was going through some of the upgrades you could put on the vehicles, and I was pretty impressed. You guys are going to see the Ford Escort in the background. I was kind of amazed what you can add to it, and we really got to give credit where it is due. Need for Speed always does so dang well with the customization, and Undercover seems to take that pretty much up a notch, or at least did a really good job with it. And I feel like if you are a fan of customization, you would probably enjoy that aspect of Need for Speed Undercover. With that being said, though, we now have to talk about the game itself, guys, and I gotta admit here, I'm not going to say this is like the worst game ever made, but I gotta admit, playing this game back in the day, I probably had, my nostalgic glasses on and stuff like that playing the game back then, and I didn't really think this game was that bad. In fact, back in the day, I really did enjoy this Need for Speed game. But I gotta admit, playing this game again here in 2025, man, I can kind of see why people aren't the biggest fan of it, and why some things about this game just don't make any sense. For number one, I don't really like the handling in Undercover, as I don't understand how the cars turn and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying I don't understand how they turn, I'm saying more of I don't understand why they turn the way that they do. Like, I think everyone can agree that the handling of the vehicles in this game is a bit weird. Someone on Reddit, I think they said the handling of the cars, or like the tires, felt like they were on butter in a way, or, they turned kind of funky, and I can kind of see it after playing it. The second thing I did want to mention here is, yeah, the bloom of the graphics, bro. This game is so dang bright in pretty much every area. I don't think there's any nighttime in Undercover. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I was playing the game for probably a good 10-15 hours, and I did not see a single piece of nighttime, or at least not really noticing it. But either way, though, I do think having the game being this bright with like the bloom graphics and all that is probably not the best way to do it. What's funny about this is I did see someone mentioning this in a Reddit post saying, yo, this game is really bright, man. I'm going to have to, like, rest my eyes or something after I played a bit. Because when you are driving around, you can tell how bright the city is and stuff like that, with, like, the blooming of, like, the brightness of the background and stuff like that. And the funny part is a lot of the old games tend to have the blooming effect. Do let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, guys. I am curious. The overall racing in Undercover also kind of took me for a loop, and I'm going to be 100% real when I say this, guys. What is the rubber banding in Undercover, bro? Like, I'm just gonna say it, okay? I'm no pro player by any means, and I feel like I am kind of above average in most of the racing games that I do play, and a lot of games for that matter. I feel like I am kind of above average when it comes to, like, the skill levels and stuff like that in them. But my goodness, dude, the rubber banding in Undercover seems so dang bad. What's funny is I did hear that apparently Underground 1 and Underground 2 is also bad when it does come to rubber banding. Do let me know your thoughts on that, and also let me know what I'm going to be in for when I do end up playing Underground 2 and 1 again. I am curious because I did end up hearing the rubber banding in that is pretty bad, and if it's going to be anything like Undercover, bro, I'm going to be in for a treat, dude. My goodness, because sometimes I would be super far ahead, the AI would pretty much pass me out of nowhere. I'd see like their little arrow coming up behind me super quick, and I just got so dang confused on how fast the arrows would come up, or you could be like 15-20 seconds ahead, you barely mess up, you scrape a wall or something, which is something I also noticed. For some odd reason, when you run into like the traffic cars, it's kind of like you're going to take a second to recover, the AI will run into them and they're going to be fine, or they'll bounce off the walls and different things around the map and they seem to be fine. Don't get me wrong, wrong, they do crash and stuff. But my goodness, though, the way they could catch up to you in like a near instant if you mess up, or you have the littlest thing going on, you're just cruising down, driving your car, trying to be the fastest you can be, and boom, you look and you're like, oh, hello, buddy, and he's literally right behind you. Other things I did notice about this game, I could be completely wrong on this. One thing I did notice, maybe it was similar to like Need for Speed Carbon, was the fact that I was not upgrading some of my vehicles. Like you guys will see the Audi TT in the background. I don't think I was going to upgrade this car because I was noticing without having nitrous on it, I seem to be a little bit better, at least when running races. When I'd upgrade the car a bit, add some parts to it and stuff like that, I would honestly start to struggle. Or the AI were going to be so fast and rubber banding, I couldn't even catch them, bro. In fact, I was having issues progressing a bit when I was using the S-Core. I did end up buying the upgrade, which was going to help a bit on that. But my goodness, dude, some of the AI, like, once they get ahead, they are literally gone, bro. It is kind of weird because I do feel like I understand AI having like a difficulty, right? I get a difficulty, but I feel like a difficulty in the rubber banding is just way too much in this game, and people did say back in the day it didn't have rubber banding like this. This was added to it to make it more difficult, which, yeah, that's not a way to make the game more difficult there, buddy. A few of the other notable things I did laugh at in Undercover is I do know a lot of the older games tend to have something like the cheat codes, which I did manage to get a few of those into the game. Like I got like 15 grand. Then I got some type of vehicle from NeedForSpeed.com, which I honestly have no idea what that had to do with anything. But I was like, oh, dope. Okay, this is something I could probably use, maybe. At least I was able to use the 15,000 and stuff like that. Also, guys, I know people have talked about it, but this game on PS3, bro, was so dang laggy. I was absolutely mind blown. There were so many glitches and little like imperfections and bugs and like so many things going on in Need for Speed Undercover that really showed me that this game wasn't done and was also massively rushed. And what's kind of crazy about that is I am going to break down some of that entire story there of Need for Speed Undercover in another video, so do stay tuned for that one. I want to go over some things. I found a lot of articles and stuff, even one pointing out that this game wasn't even liked by Black Box, bro. Think about that for a second. Seriously, isn't that wild? But I was having a lot of bugs and stuff playing this game, like the map wouldn't load in and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if that's going to be because of my PS3. I do know I'm going to have to do some work to it soon, like replace some stuff inside of it, probably get a new hard drive and stuff. Maybe that is going to help, but even then, I still feel like this game is going to be very laggy. And also, there's one last thing I did want to mention. For some odd reason right now, again, I don't know if it's going to be the PS3, but for the record, I can't get past the 39% mark in this game, which is going to be me basically taking out the king, whatever his name is. I pretty much wreck him, and then after that, the game is going to load forever. Also, for the record, I'm not having issues on any other game I have played besides this one. I really don't know if it's going to be the hard drive. I am going to upgrade that and do some things to the PS3 probably in the next month or so. So I kind of want to go back in and see if I can play this game, and maybe that might fix it. Either way, though, I kind of was surprised that it's kind of broken at that point in the game, which is kind of unfortunate. And I would say a lot of people are like, well, yeah, dude, but also this game had so many issues and a lot of bugs people still talk about. I'm still finding Reddit posts and different things being said, which is honestly just wild to me. How many people had issues with this game? It would freeze in some of the missions. People couldn't get past it. There's going to be the map not loading in, buggy, like obviously the graphics are super bright and stuff, and there is definitely a lot of things about Need for Speed Undercover that people probably won't like, especially compared to some of their most beloved Need for Speed games, whether that's Most Wanted 05, even Need for Speed Carbon, which I do know that game was also rushed out, but I did enjoy Carbon a lot more than Undercover. I also gotta admit this, I don't know how people like, or even if they do like Pro Street, but I am curious, if you guys even like Pro Street, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I did play that game again. I genuinely enjoyed it, and I gotta admit, I kind of enjoyed it more than Undercover. This game is going to have a few cool things about it, like, for example, again, the customization, and the car list is honestly pretty dang dope. We're going to have the SLR McLaren in there and stuff, and there is going to be some cool cars you probably won't see in other games, and some cars you probably look at this game and go, yo, I didn't even know this game would have that. That's pretty dope. So there is some positives there and all that, but there is also a lot of negatives that do fall into the same place of this game, which I feel like is very hard to look past, especially for a lot of people, which is also why this is considered one of the worst Need for Speed games ever made. Do let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, guys. I can't wait to see what people are going to say. I'm very curious, because I do know a lot of people did not like this game. I talked to some friends, they also weren't a fan of it. So I can't wait to see the comments of why people didn't like it, what are some things you liked about it. Do let me know your thoughts, guys. And also, again, stay tuned for that other video on Need for Speed Undercover, where I am going to go over some articles, whether that's on Reddit, also something that has to do with them, even saying they weren't a fan or proud of Need for Speed Undercover, which honestly, if the own developers are not proud of their game, that probably says a lot about it.